I'm going to talk about innovation um, because my personal definition of startup is it's a company that will try to disrupt. It's by definition something that will try to be the first. But when you're the first, it's like being the first walking on the moon. You don't know if you can breathe. You kind of think you can breathe, or maybe you think you cannot. You think you might be able to fly slightly, but there's so many parameters that you don't know that you cannot approach going to the moon in the same way that you will take the train to Paris. And my background is actually in the video game industry. I co-founded a company called Kobojo, which raised €5 million in 2011, is employing 70 people today, is a company that's doing fine on its own right now, and I've actually moved to Krakow, where I founded a new video game studio called Everyday Play, and we're actually about to release a game next week called Vikings Gone Wild. So even though the pitch is going to be talking about video games, it's more on the higher picture of innovation. And I'm going to walk you through the innovation in the video game industry, but always enlarging it to any type of online business. So the question is, let's say that you have the perfect team. You have the perfect subject, perfect time to market, yet you're trying to disrupt and be innovative. What could make you fail? It's actually an open question because you're about to fall asleep, so boom, right here. I'm asking a question. Perfect team, perfect ID, yet disruptive, perfect market. Well, let me tell you, the unknown. Because you could have the perfect team, you could actually have the perfect experience for it, yet there is, in the definition of disruption, so many unknowns, and those are the trap. So the question is, how do you mitigate that risk? So I'm going to walk you through the history of disruption in the social gaming as kind of an introduction to one story of disruption. So video game industry. How do we make games for the actually it could be for the last 20 years? Well, let me tell you. We make a lot of money, we take a lot of time, and we cross our finger really hard that this thing is going to work. The thing is that when you take such a bet in such a long time with such money, with the risk of being, a video game, which by nature is entertainment business. You make a good movie, you make a bad movie. So you could get it wrong in the creative process. So how do they do it? How does a company like Ubisoft, EA, and those companies manage to survive this kind of risk? Well, one of the recipes they took was actually to lower or narrow very tightly the demography they were addressing. So, for example, they would make games for boys, no question asked, games for girls, or obviously they would use the license trick, basically something that they would know would do the social proofing of, I know it, I reflect to it. So that's how they will mitigate the fact that even though the execution for 2 to 4 years is a big question mark, that's how they did it. Now, I'm sure you've heard of social gaming. Social gaming arrived really in 2009. So not that far away, 5 years ago. And when you look at social games, they kind of look like this. And so you're like, wait, I don't see big black gun. I don't see pink cute princess. Yet, you have heard crazy number coming from this industry of social gaming. Zynga, not doing so well right now, but it's still the online video game industry is still an industry that makes over $1 billion. So why the heck would they change something that was working so well for the last 20 years? Well, they disrupted and they had to adapt. So this is called the Crossgender games. It's kind of like trying to make a shampoo for male and female. The truth is that it's visually not too girly, not too masculine. It's kind of trying to be like an image that kind of match for everyone. So why would it do that? Well, that's one of the answers. Kobojo, in August 2009, launched a platform called Goobox and reached 3 million users in 1 month, 15th of July to 15th of August, with 0 cent in marketing acquisition. Obviously, those times have changed, but the thing is that, okay, wow, social gaming basically took roots on the basics of having tons of organic traffic coming for free. But let's observe exactly what it means, because free traffic is already a tricky traffic. When you do web acquisition, well, web acquisition comes in a very specific way. It generally comes from web search. Sorry, organic means that it comes from the ecosystem. I mean that I did not acquire it. It came by itself to my game. It came by itself to my website. And organic web acquisition typically comes from web search. And something is beautiful with web search because people put an intent. They type, I am looking for a 3D games, a racing management game. RacingLive.net, if you don't know them, they're great. I am looking for a beautiful woman in Krakow. And if you answer this intent, you can get a lot out of the user. You can ask them to download a 3 gigabyte massive executable because you provide the 3D game that they were looking for. You can ask a guy to fill up a 25-page, extremely personal questionnaire because you will give him the promise to find him a girl in Krakow. Intention is incredibly powerful. Yet, in the social network, organic acquisition is very different. Organic acquisition comes from referral. My friend Piotr invited me to play his game. Vincent, can you come help me get some carrots? What? Yet, I know very well Piotr. I'm like, my friend, whatever you ask, I click. But I come there with absolutely no intention. I come here because a friend asked me to come. I come here because of social proofing, because I know who invited me here. So the problem is that I am, from an online business perspective, unqualified. Unqualified means that I can be young, I can be old, I can be a male, I can be a female, I can be anywhere. So basically, you start to understand where they're going. They used Crossgender to maximize their organic acquisition. They saw a lot of free traffic coming their way, yet it was an unqualified traffic. So in order to get the maximum potential of it, they will try to make a game that will appeal to anyone. Why? If I make a game only for a male, well, 50% of my traffic as female will be like, whoa, big guns, not for me. The other way around, the same thing for the age. By trying to be as smooth, and let me put that picture again, you know, like kind of like, it's like this image that anyone can, it's almost childish here, but you know, the idea is that it's very, very narrow so that anyone could go through it and try to invite again. And this proved to be extremely, extremely successful for those companies. The problem is they were making a product for everyone. And 101 marketing lesson, a product for everyone is a product for no one. Try to sell a shampoo for everyone and you're not going to be so popular. So here's a question. How do you survive the challenge of not knowing your customer? Actually, if you really open it up, you can ask yourself the question, how do you survive the challenge of innovation and disruption? Because social gaming managed to heavily disrupt the gaming industry that was heavily rooted in licenses and like a top 4 of people who could manage to pay for like physical distribution, you know, all the whole thing. But so I didn't invent that, and it's called lean development. And that's an extremely powerful way to survive innovation in my point of view. And I've tried it many times, and I'm just going to share you today my experience of it. What does it say? It says, think big, act small, fail fast, iterate rapidly. The idea is simple. We live in a world of digital distribution. We do not need to, take a lease for a building, burn, plastic in China, order 500 of them, and cross your finger really hard. We live in a digital distribution. Digital distribution means that we have the power to actually build a prototype in a day. As an entrepreneur or as anyone who has an idea, it's very, very tempting to look at the competition. Especially we were at this demo day yesterday, and all those kids were like asking, so what's the market size and what So you're like, okay, what is my competition? And you look at this stuff. Oh my God, they have everything. They have the forum, they have this thing, and they have this online distribution, and I need to have it all. And you start working on something thinking, okay, I will distribute by adding this little twist at the end of the day, but I need to add all these things on top of it. The problem is that you might engage yourself in something that you don't know yet if it's going to work, because you are disrupting, because you don't know exactly how to handle it, you don't know exactly how to talk to those people, you don't know exactly to explain. Yet, and I've been there many times, you will say, oh, wait, we're not going to launch until we don't have that, and that. It's not perfect. Well, let me tell you, your project doesn't have to be perfect at launch. It really does not. Actually, what does project mean? It means identifying your minimum viable product. What is that? Let's say that you want to make an e-commerce website specialized in the selling of goods for a very specific market of the horse training market. Holy crap. I don't know, you have an idea, you like horses, and well, you could just throw yourself into building an e-commerce website with, with the full payment. You call your bank. I need a secured payment solution. Oh, it's going to cost you 3,000 zloty, 3 weeks, and blah, blah. Basically, you go the full way to have this full e-commerce website. You launch, and then you realize that actually nobody is interested in this thing. Yet, you have devoted yourself into months of development into something that goes nowhere. So what was your minimum viable product in this case? Your minimum viable product in this case was not even a website. It could have been a bunch of emails asking people that you know from the stuff, would you be interested in such a thing? It could be just a list of products with a fake payment. I've done it. Like, my payment system was just a field that was taking the credit card number of a guy, saying, yeah, processing. Oh, good number. Well, the truth is that it didn't matter because nobody ever put their number in there. So you start to get the point. Don't throw yourself into too much detail until you know that the description you're trying to bring has the right language, that you actually find people who are appealed into what you're doing. Shorten as much as you can your first iteration. You don't have to ship something that has to be perfect, printed on a DVD, put in Tesco. So let me give you a very practical example. Pyramidville is one of the games that we launched with Kobo Joe. Honestly, it's yet another online business. Just look at it this way. Well, so we looked at the competition of social games. We had Zynga, those big guys and stuff like that, and they had crazy stuff. But you know what? We only took 4 months to do these things. We had no interaction. So basically, you can visit your friend, you can interact with them. We couldn't do that. We only had 2 months of content, meaning that we had like maybe 10 buildings, just enough for the guy to start playing with it. No collection, no achievement, but it was kind of okay looking. Pixel perfect doesn't mean that it's beautiful. It means that the pixel just kind of fit in a pretty way for the eye. We launched it, and guess what? Even though we were missing so many features, the game grew up organically up to 1.2 million users in 2 months, end of January. The truth is that right here, we're like, holy crap, it's working. Shit, we need to work now. We need to get the missing things done. But if we were doing the whole thing like, the Zynga way, the big company way, we would have worked on this thing for 10 months. And maybe we would have missed an opportunity, the right window time to launch this game. Or maybe we could have. Actually, the story is, most of the time, it doesn't go as planned as that. And I have a beautiful story for that. Man, I wish I was those guys. So here is their story. Their name is Kaizix. Kaizix is 10 years old. They are from Seattle, and they have been doing tower defense game on PC since 2005. In 2009, the PC online distribution is not doing so well, and they hear about this little thing called Facebook, and they're like, let's make a Facebook game. But like most of those guys in 2009, they hear, okay, Facebook, it has to be cross-gender, so let's make a cross-gender game. They still put 10% of tower defense in the game, but they come up with that. This looked like the story I told to my daughter in the evening, you know. Here, darling, so this is the Mentor story. Good night. They absolutely got it wrong, and it tells how hard it is to make a cross-genre game. Like, making a game for everyone, what the heck does it mean? And UBC, they had no idea. They launched this thing, and it horribly failed. Yet, they took a methodology that I will describe later, basically looking at their metrics. And what they discovered looking at that metrics is that even though the game was an horrible failure, the only little part of the people actually sticking to the game were male audience, playing with the 10% remaining of tower defense. I'm like, okay, well, let's just change this thing. Let's make it a tower defense game. So instead of attacking the player every 2 days, we'll attacking maybe 15 minutes, and maybe those few people sticking, maybe we'll be able to milk them a bit better and make them pay. And they came up with Backyard Monster. And that was a very smart move. Kaizix today, actually 6 months later, raised $20 million and is today valued at over $400 million out of this first thing. What did they do good? Well, the thing is that by shortening your first iteration, there is something that happens to every entrepreneur, is the emotional attachment to your baby. I mean, we have all done that. It's like, it's my creation. I've decided of every pixel, this blue thing, this green thing, Backyard Monster, the typo, all these fonts, I've chosen it myself. The problem is that when it fails, we generally refuse to change it because we're so emotionally attached to what we've created. By having a short iteration, we can also really think, okay, let's trash what's not working and really try to refurbish to what's going to work. And they did it. This game is an amazing... Actually, they were one of the first one really doing hardcore games for Facebook, where everybody was doing cross-gender. Their method is that they didn't get any organic traffic. They kind of disrupted the social gaming stuff. They said, okay, we're not going to get any organic traffic, but the people who came in were so well addressed that the overall monetization of those guys were plenty to actually do non-organic acquisition through dollars. So, let's say that we have done our MVP and we launch our application. We're on the web. Congratulations. You are now the proud owner of an online business. The question is, what do you do now? Well, observe, listen, and observe. I always like to remind me of this slide because I put the word observe twice because we tend to overdo this one. Listen. Well, you soft launch your new baby website, and obviously you don't have that many guys there yet. And you put your mom and your friends, you're so proud, you ask the few users on this stuff, and you ask them, so what do you think of it? The problem is that the voice that will come of those guys is not necessarily representative of the guy you want to reach. It's actually not maybe representative of even the people who actually will pay money. You know, oh, your stuff is great, but I really like to have a pink button. And the guy is just maybe a nerd, we just really like your stuff, but will never spend a cent, where basically the people who actually matters actually don't care about this button or this feature. That's why there's to observe. The question is, what should we observe? So here's my little survival guide to online distribution. And it took me, I swear, it took me 3 years to really put myself in this order. Maximize retention, maximize monetization, and maximize acquisition. What has happened to me so many times, way too many times, is that you launch your stuff and you're like, acquisition. Oh yeah, we need 1,000. Oh my God, we have people coming in. And you want to grow. We have this desperate thing that we want to see this Google Analytics going to the roof. F5. Every hour, every minute, F5. Oh, we got one tomorrow. The problem is, it's not the way you should look at it. Because you are disrupting. You don't know if you are speaking well to those users. You don't know how they react to your language. You don't even know if you are saying the right thing. So the number one you look at is retention. Let me tell you about retention. This is a typical symptom. We have 300,000 players on our website. Wow, not bad. And how many players? How many users you have right now on a daily basis? 2,000. It's not bad, I think. Well, let me tell you, it's terrible. What it tells here is that your retention, Paul, is awful. So let's look at it. This is the ideal retention. Paul wished that his 300,000 users were still in this bowl, still using his service and his website. The problem, this is Paul's bowl. And this is everybody's bowl. Every single service obviously doesn't stick to their, and people just go. The question is, what is the size of the hole? Did that come out right? So, retention pro type 1. Master your first-time user experience. There's a single fact, is that you will lose more, I say players, but users, during the first session they will be exposed to your service than any other session combined. You have one shot at it. Rarely two. One shot. So that's why you don't want to scale too fast. You want to take your time. You want to expose it to a little bit of people, test it, tweak it, a little bit of people, and then once you have it, then you can press F5 on Google Analytics. So the question is, we need to understand where and why people are leaving you. And there's a beautiful tool for it. It's called a funnel. For those who don't know what is a funnel, it's a funnel. And basically, you can monitor anything. And I'm going to show you what I monitor in the video game. But in e-commerce, typically, you will look at, today, I had 10,000 users. 60% visited the shopping area. 30% placed an item in the cart. 3% made a purchase. The simple fact to visualize that allow you to actually interact with it. Until you see it, you can't interact. Until you see it, you just make guesses. So, let me show you what I do in the video game industry. We have the luxury in the video game industry that we have a tutorial. A tutorial is a thing that every single player needs to go through at the beginning. Welcome in the game, click here. This is the shop, click here. This is your first stuff. So we have the luxury to actually have a very nice trail. This is what I call a sliding funnel. So one line is a funnel. This is a funnel. This funnel tells me that there were 600 people who came at 9 p.m. that day. This is 24 hours. We can see there's still some nerds in the night, some heavy player at 9 p.m. 600, and we see that about half of the people passed my tutorial, okay? So we launched the game, and what we do is, oh, wait, that's a pretty big gap here. Actually, the gap was even bigger than that when we launched it. We're like, what is going on at this step? Well, it turned out that at this step, we actually had people, we're actually asking people to connect to the market for the first time. They were supposed to do their first buy into our virtual shop in Egypt. So we thought, okay, we're going to put this icon, a big yellow, watermark. This is what you are looking for. Click on the button, please. It didn't work. We took the biggest gun you can have in user experience to make someone click on something. You make it blink. Blinking, just say, please, I beg you, click on me. You know you want me to stop blinking, don't you? And if I did not measure there yet, I knew from a user experience perspective that this is the biggest gun. So I would not even, I was like, yeah, it's going to fix this. wait, what? It did not fix it. And I would have never guessed. And thanks God I was measuring this funnel. At that point, I'm actually checking with the guys. Are you sure your stuff is right? This is not right, man. This is a blinking button. My experience for the last 15 years tell me that a blinking button always works. And you see how experience is a tricky thing when you disrupt. Because you always rely on it. You always think that you're right, but yeah, wait, I was wrong. Turns out that in very small resolution, the button was not on the screen. How silly is that? Actually, on 800 by 600 resolution or something like this, it was cut like this. And there is this other UX trick that if you want someone to discover something that is not completely there, you cut it like this. And the brain says like, oh, there's something there. Where's my scroll wheel? I'm going to go down. That's how they do it on the iOS. They don't have this big scroll wheel on the side yet. We naturally do that because we see that there is a missing part. Well, it was not even doing it because it was cut like that. How silly is that? So, strong of this discovery, we added this big fat blue button. Not for the fact that it was blue, but for the fact it was big and going over and basically being cut. We put that online and we fixed it. And we got 25% more people going through this thing. How silly is that, right? Yeah, well, that's just a very silly yet, I think, pragmatical example on how you do this. And this is just a simple video game tutorial. The truth is that this methodology, you can use it for any disruption. You're trying to sell, you want to be the Facebook of virtual pets. I don't know, something like, I don't know, you want to try to sell something crazy, yet nobody has done it yet. You don't know how to explain to the users what to do. Well, try, iterate, but yet you need to measure what you're doing. Measure in order to know if people actually go further. Do you onboard more people by doing this or less people? So here's the second part of my tip, and for me, the most important one. I consider it my biggest failure in 3 years of Kobojo, which was still a company making decent money and employing quite a lot of people, but it's something that really came to light once I left Kobojo and had time to reflect and realize that. Here's the question, and it's more related to if your service is content-based. What do your people do once they finish your content? Let me show you how it looks like. People come at the beginning. Obviously, there are 100% coming for your content. But as the time goes, the interest for the contents kind of go down. Because, you've played the game, you start to... And the only way, in the case of video game, in my case, in order to try to get this stuff to try to go back up like that, was basically to produce content every week. Content, make some content. It was horrible. It was horrible. It was super stressful for the team, stressful for everyone. Yet we were not even managing to get anywhere with this curve go back up. Because we talked about short-term retention, but how do you get people to engage the long-term? We are in a world of service. We are, software as a service, e-commerce website. The truth is that the lifetime value, the overall money that you will make out of a user is based on how long he will stick to your website, how long he will stick to your game. So the long-term retention is really important. Now, Salsa Class. What the heck is that Salsa Class doing here? Let me explain you. When you go to a Salsa class, you first come for the content. You come to learn salsa. You're very shy, you enter the room. Hi. And because you don't know anyone, you're just going to be in your world with the teacher. You're going to look at her and you're 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You come back the next session and another next session, and you start to meet people. You meet Alexander, hi, a programmer, nice guy. And there is Kathia, she's beautiful. You wish you could talk to her yet, but you can't talk to her yet. Ah, damn it. And on the 5th session, your teacher tells you, that was a great move, Vincent. Very well done. I exist. it doesn't matter who I am in real life. In that class, I exist. Someone reflected on my existence by telling me that this move was the right one. Yet nobody else could have told me that. And it doesn't have to be the teacher. It could be my friend Piotr. Vincent, well done, buddy. And that's something very powerful. Actually, that's something that actually specifically video game bring. And any platform would do that bring. It's the idea that people are looking for social recognition. This is the true thing that you are looking for. Let me show you. Obviously, you still have this curve going down. But as you enter this salsa class, the real reason you're coming back every day is the people. And the truth is that after 60 days, or after a year, or after 8 years, you know how to dance salsa. You're not coming back for the content anymore. You're coming back for the people. You're coming back for the person you are in this room, in this very room. And that is something that can change everything. A practical example is Facebook. I mean, everybody knows the incredible retention rate of Facebook. Now think about it. When did this start, really? Well, you post a picture of your daughter, or you post an update of your beautiful glass of wine, or your meal of Mexican, or I don't know what is going on in your life. And you have people, 3 people, who like what you do. Well, this like is a reflection of who you are. You exist through the eye of those people. And you will come back. You will come back for more. And the truth is that Facebook is an incredible social recognition platform. It's called a social network. Well, everything has been tuned for you to be socially recognized in everything you do. And that's how you stick. So think about it, on how, really ask yourself the question, why would my people come back? And see if you can put and inject some social recognition into the thing. Actually, to wrap it up, content is your icebreaker, but social recognition is your long-term retention. Obviously, it doesn't work for everything, but really think about it, and you might have a formula. This is the end of my talk. Think big, really do, but act small. Fail fast. Failing is amazing. Failing just do so many things. Also, don't think that you know. You probably don't. Actually, experience is your worst enemy when you try to disrupt. And rapid iteration is the key to the answer of any disruption. Thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions.
Yeah, so are there any questions?
Hi, Vince.
Yes.
Quick question, because you earlier you said that your top 3 rules, the first point is increase retention, and the third one is acquisition. Do you think that's still true for games or services that need a crucial number of members to work properly? So like a multiplayer game where a certain amount of people has to be online to allow multiplayer matches?
Your question is, no, so actually, can you reformulate the question? I'm not sure if I understand.
Yeah, sure. Just on any kind of software or service that basically needs a certain crucial number of people to play first.
So no, so okay, thanks. I got it now. It's not a question of critical mass. It's a question of return on investment. Because the thing is that, like any business, you might have some free traffic at the beginning. Your mother asks your friend to come in here. The truth is, at the end of the day, you will have to pay for a single guy to come. So before you spend a single dollars on acquiring a guy, you just want to make sure that you put every statistical bet on your side so that for 100 guy acquired, you don't get 20 to stick, but 40. And that's nothing to do with critical mass. Even though in the case of MMO, it's much harder because it's a, you need, what's the word of it? You need a liquidity of player. You need enough player connected at a certain point to create that momentum. But I'm not talking about that in this case. I'm just simply talking about return on investment and stickiness.
Any questions?
Yep. Go ahead.
Okay, I've got a question because you said that the organic traffic is the best one, and as I understood, the organic traffic but by referrals is much more worse.
Yeah.
And so how does this combine with this need for people to get, in the society and be social? So you are saying that they should meet new people in the service, or just the old ones? So I don't understand it quite well.
So there's two things here. I don't think there is a good or bad source of acquisition. Just you need to decide what is your business model. In social gaming, for Kobojo, my source of acquisition was organic traffic on Facebook. Knowing this, I adapted my service and my games in order to maximize the retention based on that traffic. Kaizix, this hardcore gaming company, knew they were not getting any organic traffic, so they based their game on like a very vertical, male-oriented game. And this has nothing to do with the fact that on top of it, your service, in order to have a long-term retention, should make people meet within the game or within your application for them to exist.
Thank you.
Is it clear?
Yeah, of course.
Thank you so much.
So more question? No?
All right, thank you very much.
So thank you, Vincent.
Thank you. Thank you, Angel.